Hey everybody, and welcome to another magazine flip through. In this flip through, we're going to be flipping through Wargames Illustrated Issue 450, June 2025. Now, the editorial is calling this issue the Folklore Issue, from the Greenwood to the battlefields of North America. I was looking forward to this issue because there's the Salute 52 report, which I'm quite looking forward to. To be honest, I wanted to do a Salute roundup or review, but a big part of the review was finding out who won which award. Now, Salute 52, the website, has up until now has not really updated their website on who won what for 2025. So I haven't done that yet. But lo and behold, comes Wargames Illustrated June 2025, and we now have not just results, but to somebody from halfway across the world, I now know who's won what clearly. I mean, I've been trawling through the different YouTube influencers and content creators, looking at all the different videos, but the this magazine is going to be definitive for it. But there are other articles in here which are quite interesting, and we are going to have a look inside. All right. First off, we got the editorial, and of course, this is the Salute 52 issue, and because of that, you have the pictures of the editors and folks from the magazine taking pictures with the winners, and then we have now in the cover is the Robin Hood picture by Neil Roberts, which is okay. It's good. It's a very nice looking picture, very classic looking if you ask me. And then moving in, if you like the art, you can actually subscribe to Wargames Illustrated, Wargames Illustrated Prime. You'd probably get the full cover with none of the mess about. The good bit is it's frameable and nice. The bad bit for me is it's exclusive to UK and the EU subscribers, so I'm gonna have to be happy with this, which I am actually. I am very happy with it. Moving along, we have observation posts, and if you look at observation posts, we've got a kit from Rendra. Now I'm a big fan of the Rendra kits. Why? Because here at the store, it's the kind of kit that's not very expensive, and you can easily get a lot of pieces of terrain onto the table, right? It also opens up the opportunity for you to try to mod it or convert it. Because of the price point, if you make a mistake, it's not such a big loss. But also, they make some really, really nice terrain. So I was very, very happy to see that they actually have the new windmill, and then they got the timber cabin, which is new from them. In the hobby corner, there's some tips as well. But yeah, I'm very, very happy. It's another kit from Renedra, and for me at least, this basically means it's gonna end up in the store at some point. Moving along, we have Archon Studios, and Archon Studios are releasing Armies of Dusler. Am I pronouncing that right? Dusler. Now it's basically a fantasy box filled with fantasy figures. They have their own little faction in this, which is quite cool. And under the microscope, what they break down the factions and the different little builds. I'm quite impressed with Argo Studios. They've been growing from strength to strength, and it seems like they work on a slightly bigger scale. So there's more stuff inside Argo Studio sets, and they seem to already be carving their own little niche by having a fantasy world of their own, to build armies for. Very, very nice. Very, very cool. Moving along, we have Bet Squido Games, and these are assortment of figures, which is also quite cool because Bet Squido Games, if you do not know, do a lot of women or female figures, and in this one they're featuring the they call it the Daring Dames, which is cool. And then you got Johanna the Fleeting. Basically, Bet Squido Games have carved a little spot in the miniature world by doing women or basically female characters for the gaming table, which I think is really, really fantastic. Moving along, we got the Tabletop Workshop Fortified Square Castle Tower and Connectors. This is another piece of terrain which I think is quite cool. It's done. It's hard plastic. We've actually brought in a few of the Tabletop Workshop figures, terrain in the store. And they move quite well too. It's nice that they have a new addition to their range. So yeah, what you're calling this fortified square castle tower. Excellent. And then we've got Footsore Miniatures, the Baron's War Second Edition rules. Now, if you did not know, we actually did an unboxing of this set, the Baron's War set. The link to the unboxing is right there. I'm going to have a look at what we thought of the box when we got it, and this is basically the review of that. So, moving along, we have the new Epic Battles that's coming out from Wargames, and this is the Black Powder Epic Battles Revolution, and this is American War of Independence, which is coming out in June, so soonish. It should be out soonish. I'm not so sure whether I'll be committing to this Epic Battles, but hey, you never know, man. Wargames Illustrated might just actually give me a free frame at some point so I can paint these. These look quite nice, and I'm looking forward to this. Definitely looking forward to this. But I'm not so sure how much I'll get into the game, simply because I've already bitten off quite a bit of Epic Battles, to paint. Okay, so moving along, we have the Bolt Action Armies of Great Britain, and this is coming out in July 31st. Also, Iron Coffins, which is already out now. It's already in the store. Okay, moving along, we have terrain, and this is terrain from Sarissa. Sarissa terrain is good. I mean, if you don't have a piece of Sarissa terrain in your gaming table, or in your cupboard, you should, because I think they're forerunners in the terrain business, especially for the for me at least. I think they're really nice figures, really nice terrain pieces, and they've got all this detail inside, which I think is really, really fantastic. Or you can actually look at these are from Dark Ops, and these are bunker figures. So these are all release radar. These are what's new and it's coming out, which is kind of cool. And then we got Monster Model Works with their Powerhouse, and then what's this over here? We got War Bases. Yes, actually, War Bases. I've been quite curious about War Bases. I've seen them in getting some coverage online, and I'm very curious to just see what the fuss is all about. But while I wait, I've got all of these to look at. These are the goblins, and it's nice that they've actually labeled which ones are which, so you can actually look through them and have a look, which I think is a great idea. Hopefully, Wargames Illustrated will do this more often. It helps because you see something you like in the magazine, and you can immediately go and find it on the in this example, War Bases site, and get it. Moving along, more figures. And these are from Footsore, and again, all are labeled nicely. Again, I really think this is a great idea, to promote miniatures in your magazine. Next up, we got Brigade Models, and these are mobile artillery, which is kind of cool. And then World War II Far East Chindits from AB Figures. Back when I was much younger and I couldn't afford things, AB figures were the gold standard when it comes to Napoleonics. In fact, for me, AB has always had that aura of quality. So seeing them in the magazine really makes me happy. Moving along, we have Enfilade figures, and what's this? Blah blah blah. Anzacs. All right, Anzac figures with that one, and then you got the Civil War figures from Pendragon, which is cool, and then Empress figures. All these are Civil War figures. Yeah, this is the Spanish Civil War figures, and this is American Civil War figures. Yeah. So, moving along, we got the new kit from North Star figures, and these are the automatons. These these are the robotic or cyborgish aliens. Pretty much I want to call them Borg adjacent figures. So this box set's coming out. It's already out, and it's already on the way to the store, which is great. More bits for you to do your kit bashing, or to just play on its own, because it also comes with its own setting, death vectors, if I'm not mistaken. Moving along, we got Pillage. Like I said, there's a lot of buzz for Pillage, and Pillage is from Victrix. Folks are keeping an eye on this, wondering when this will come out. Moving along, we got Quickfire, and Quickfire is basically articles from readers, which you don't know what you're gonna get with Quickfire, which is why I quite like browsing it. Next up, we got First Score, and First Score this time chooses to show us 28mm supply trains. I like First Score because they seem to, every time there's an advert, they put something new. I think that's also a way to promote your miniature range. Put some new figures, so even if they are not so new, so somebody know what you have. And it's always nice to have pictures. I mean, I'm a pictures kind of guy. Okay, so moving along, we got Folklore in the American Civil War. Now, this article was actually really, really, really good. Now, why? Because to be honest, the American Civil War is not exactly one of my favorite periods. It's not one of my favorite conflicts, but this puts a twist on it. Now, what it is basically it takes all the folklore circa the American Civil War and throw it into a game, which is very cool. And this includes things like the Jersey Devil. It includes things like let me see now, the Thunderbirds, and then you've got the Wendigo, and then you got figures from folklore like Johnny Appleseed, Paul Bunyan, which is really, really cool. I think this is really, really cool because you can actually now take to the period in a fantasy way first before easing yourself into actually playing American Civil War. But definitely a very, very good idea. They have all these ideas to add to your game. John Henry is here as well, and they give you like all this the article. You got ideas for big battles. You got how to include this in your game, which I think is quite cool. And hey, the Headless Horseman is here as well. Let me just show you that is really, really, really cool. I mean, if you're just building a diorama, that's a cool looking figure. But okay, you can now add this to your game. And very, very cool article. I like this article very, very much. Moving along, we got Battlefront with their Pacific rules. And then we got the Dystopian Age from Armored Clash. Armored Clash is from War Cradle. And it's basically old dystopian, but they have some new fluff, new figures and stuff like that. And Armored Clash seems to be making inroads into the gaming tables. So yeah, so that's that. And then we got this articles over here. Now, I quite like this article because it's a tribute to somebody in the hobby who is quite loved and is quite famous. So it's kind of nice that you actually have an article for it, and it's actually a proper interview, which is really, really cool. I did not know that this issue of White Dwarf was actually the issue that he first became co-editor in. I have this issue and I was tempted to bring it out to flex, but I didn't. It would have been too messy to do that today. But yeah, an interview with Paul Sawyer, which I think is a great idea. Very, very nice, very, very thoughtful. This is actually from if I'm not mistaken, it's from a book that's also coming out. You know what? Let me just see if I can actually find it. Wait, hang on 1 minute. All right, so I found it. Yeah, this issue. I didn't know that this was the first issue. I'll probably be browsing this after doing this flip through, and it's quite nice because look at this. It's got a stamp from the shop, back when the shop was in another location. Oh, this was back in the day. I brought this back to the store from my home. Yeah, all the bits have not been cut out yet. Now, if you want me to flip through old White Dwarfs, and I've got a lot of old White Dwarfs from back in the day, I could do that, I suppose. But yeah, this is me flexing. Don't mind me. Yeah. Anyways, moving along. This is an article from yeah, and I was gonna say it's also part of it's the article from Talking Miniatures, which I think is really, really cool. So thanks to thanks to Robin Dews, who actually did the interview. So we have something which is kind of neat, and I want to show this to you very quick. If you haven't, there was a miniature that was made in tribute for Paul. I didn't actually get it. I wanted to. I just didn't get it yet. I didn't get it, and it's no longer in circulation. Yeah, slight regret there. Maybe I can find it on the secondary market. But anyways, moving along, we have the cultural experience, and these are tours, which at some point, I don't know when, I'll probably try one. But this one is the Napoleonic legend. That's the theme of this one. Cool. Moving along, outlaw retinues in ruckus. The cover is Robin Hood, and it just makes sense that in the ruckus Robin Hood, right? Yeah, it makes sense, I guess. You got stats for Robin Hood, Little John, Will Scarlock. I thought it was Will Scarlet. Friar Tuck, and stuff like that. And then you got the sheriff. All stats for you to play with Robin Hood in the Ruckus games. I actually have. I was loaned this book to play Robin Hood for the Baron's War by David. I mean, if you want me to have a flip through of that, give me a like or say so in the comments so I know that, to do that flip through of I think it's got Death in Texas, the Robin Hood bit for Baron's War. Anyways, moving along, we got Harefoot Jousting, and this is the halfling jousting game. Interesting though, because there's a jousting rule set here as well, full tilt. And Goblin jousting as well. Moving along, demoing Midgard. Now Midgard is also another game that's got a little bit of buzz in the store. We have a very small alternative gaming group. Actually, we have a few. Made up of 2 or 3 guys who play in different locations. And a game is not good, but it's anticipated when people ask you when is that set coming in. So this is basically their experience of demoing Midgard, which when it comes in I'll probably be doing myself. Anyways, moving along, Heinz Figures has an advert, and then we got designer notes. Now, I wasn't aware. Oh, perhaps I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't aware. They have articles that comes on sporadically, and it's themed under designer notes. And this is basically looking at the design philosophy behind games. It's, for me personally, I like designing games, and this is one of those articles, that it feeds me. Yeah, it feeds me. And in this article is the design notes for The Woods, and this has a second edition. Shame, though, because I did not know there was a first edition. Again, halfway across the world, it's very, very difficult to be on the pulse for everything. So having said that, this is the designer notes for The Woods. Worth a read. For me, I'll definitely read it. Next up, it's Rubicon models. People ask me, why Rubicon models for the store. I feel that building models is a hobby in itself, and if you're looking for that 1/35th scale vibe of building kits but done in 1/56 scale, Rubicon's the company for you to go to. Moving along, we got a multi-part article, and this is Wargaming with Snipers. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, but it's basically doing sniper in winter, and there's lots to read here. And because it's a part 1, that this article is thick. Yes, thick with information. So it's basically snipers, winter. It's a Finnish sniper. I can't pronounce it. I'm really, really sorry. Anyways, moving along, we got advert for Phalanx 2025, and then Art Master Studio has got advert right here. All these folks, to put an advert, you help pay the bills, and if you pay the bills, Wargames Illustrated comes out, and I get to flip through it. It works. Moving along, we have folklore influences in Moonstone. Moonstone has a following as well, and they all have these really nice looking figures, and the painting style is very, very bright. Very, very interesting looking. And over here, it tracks back to where the inspiration for the different figures come for Moonstone, which I think is a great article. Okay, moving along, we have the show report for Salute 52. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to do a video to do a video commentary on each, and I'll probably have it's going to be a lot of work because I probably have to contact each of the creators so I can use a little bit of their video. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't happen, don't blame me for it. It's just a lot of work, and it requires a lot of space and hard disk space and processing power. I don't know whether I can do it, but it's definitely something I'll think of doing if I can. Right? I'll give it a swing. Anyways, these are the awards, and best scenery goes to Retired Wargames, Reloaded, Berlin 1945. Best medium scale game went to Friends of General Haig, Breaking the Stalemate. And then you got best small scale game, Per Broden and Wire Forest. Oh my god, let me do it again. Per Broden and Wire Forest Wargamers, The Crossing of the Duna in 1701. Okay, then you got award for best large scale game, A Few Brits and the Hobby, Soldiers of Napoleon. And to the strongest, Lust for Glory. This is the best in show. Is it the one? Warsaw 1944. Okay. Yeah. And then we have best historical game, Yorkshire Gamer, The Battle of Mentana. Am I reading that right? Then best fantasy game, Magrather, Builder of Worlds, What Lies Beneath, All Hell Let Loose, Omaha Beach, best participation game, and Bunny Badger Games, Mars Defense, most innovative game. So these are basically the best of games, all won awards. Again, I might want to give this a go. But if you don't want to wait for me, head on over to YouTube and check out the best of Salute. All of these are probably there. So I want to do my own. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens if I can find the time. Anyways, moving along, we got the Joust, and this is the diorama that won the Hammerhead 2025 painting competition. This is really cool. So it's basically a breakdown on what the figures look like and the process of building this diorama. Diorama building is actually a very satisfying thing. It's a project, right? It's a project, and you'd have it on your table and you slowly build it. We have a few folks in the shop who love building dioramas, and it's always nice when they send me pictures like, I've done this, I've done that. I like looking. I mean, it's part of the hobby. I like this part of the hobby as well, dioramas. And then you got another multi-part article here, and this one's the Shifting Sands. This is for 7TV, the Avengers series, and it's a nod to Indiana Jones, I guess. It's it's an adventure. It's 7TV adventure, pulp adventure. And this is an article for it, which is great, and it's got each episode that you can play with, helping you through. Okay, so best in show, the Loughton Strike Force Warsaw 1944. Now the best in show, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I am truly sorry, but I think this is second year running that the Loughton Strike Force. I mean, the person who did this, Martin Stanbridge. I think the second time he's won it in a row. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but best in show gets a whole article to flip through, to like browse, to keep in your library. I mean, these games come and go, right? But when you document it and in a nice magazine, I don't know, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to actually have a magazine talking about this, talking about the game. I mean, the game, yeah, and the table. Yeah, I'm a big fan of printed paper. What can I say? Anyways, moving along, we have Nobody But Us, Airborne Soviet airborne troops in the Cold War. Another article filled with information and stuff, and then you got like scenarios as well to play. Yeah. Okay, so moving along, we have advert for Historicon 2025, advert for North Star again, and then we got Italian Wars, Hellion and Company, Skytrax Miniatures, Athena Miniatures, all of these having to pay the bills. Gunfighters Ball. No, you know what? I really like this figure right here. Check this out. It looks like Lemmy. I might actually get this figure because it's a Lemmy looking figure. Lemmy Kilminster, folks. Rest in peace. Rest in power. Anyways, Mardef Miniatures. And then we have Tumbling Dice. And then Dream Home Scenics, Pandemonium Miniatures. Can I read this? Splendid Scenery. And then we have Wargames Atlantic. The dwarves are coming for their grand battle scale fantasy. Now, you want to guess which company has the back page? No need to guess. It's Gripping Beast taking the back page yet again, as always. And this time they've got the Uruks and Goblin Archers featured, which is great. Okay, so that is Wargames Illustrated 450, June 2025. Yeah, quite a nice issue filled with good stuff. If you like me flipping through magazines, give me a like and subscribe. It's encouragement. But yeah, until next one, don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.